So before we get started, I want to make something very clear. I'm sick to death of the stupid old wives' tale that human beings only use 10% of their brain capacity. That's not what that means. We don't just use 10%. We do use the whole thing, but we focus it in the form of different things. Some of our brain power is used for memory, activities, metabolic functions, all of that. So let's just make this clear. Everything this movie talks about is technically bullshit. But is it entertaining bullshit? Well, for that, let's just cue titles in. Lucy is about a woman. No, not that Lucy. I wish. You see, this movie is directed by Luc Besson. I think I should make that very clear at first because Luc Besson is known for directing a lot of badass action movies with badass chicks. Fifth Element, Transporter, a lot of films of that nature. So needless to say, going into this movie, I was kind of thinking it might be his attempt at doing more of like a philosophical sci-fi. I heard there's a lot of talks of where drug trade is growing, there's a lot of talks of how people are treated, stuff like that. I thought that might be very interesting. But is it that interesting? Well, let's look at the plot. You have the Lucy I mentioned before. This Lucy is played by the very beautiful Scarlett Johansson. I believe her in the movie. She made sense. Scarlett Johansson cannot do a bad performance. And her big thing is that she's a drug mule, and they give her this drug to carry, but naturally it pops open, and this drug gives her the ability to access more and more of her brain power. Now, putting aside my prior knowledge that no, there is not untapped brain potential, I wanted to have fun with this movie, and I didn't have that much fun with this movie. This film has one glaringly big problem, and that is Lucy. The thing is that as this movie goes on and she gets more brain power, she basically becomes a higher and higher Super Saiyan, I guess. She basically becomes less and less interesting as she becomes more and more godlike. No one can beat her in this movie. She gets telekinesis, telepathy, she can shapeshift, she can control other people's minds. The longer this movie went, the more boring it got. And, well, yeah, that's a big problem with this film. I mean, the performances from everyone else are fine. Morgan Freeman is Morgan Freeman. He's another one, always does a good job. The Asian dude from Oldboy was pretty good. Look, everyone does a fine enough job with what they've been given, but the problem is the script is so all over the place with what it's trying to do. The thing is that not only do you have this going on, but you get these really bizarre animal shots, which I think are supposed to be metaphors for, like, victims, prey, predators, all that. That would be okay if it wasn't for the fact that it just happens out of nowhere and then it stops and it just makes the movie feel really inconsistent and choppy. This isn't to say the movie isn't entertaining for a while. First half of this movie, really cool. And I guess when you look at the film from the perspective of kind of like these are just events that are happening, you're not really following someone you're supposed to root for, you're supposed to watch everything as it goes on, it is interesting. I mean, again, even though I did get bored as the movie progressed and Lucy got stronger and stronger, I was never uninterested in what was happening. It was still really interesting to watch. I really love the way Luc Besson put shots together. There's no shaky cam in the movie. The movie looks beautiful. And I thought it combined these elements very well. But what really hurts this movie is, again, just the fact that, like I said with Boyhood yesterday, there's nothing to care about. Lucy is invincible. You're just watching her become more and more godlike. And it's interesting from one perspective, but from the other perspective, I just kind of found myself not really caring. Like, as she got smarter, the movie got dumber. So I'm going to say Lucy is a 5 out of 10 on the sci-fi action scale. The action is kind of fun. The concepts are interesting and presented in an interesting way, but just as the movie goes on, I just care less and less and just want it to get out of the theater. But what were you hoping for? A lot of people were saying that maybe this would be the original, not based on anything movie that was going to win out the year. It will not. But what movies do you think are still left to come that are going to be amazing? Tell that in the comment section below. And as always, click to like and click to subscribe because I use 100% of the effort I can put into this.